Good morning class, I am your assistant teacher and I am here to begin with a new topic today, that is chapter number 6, our government. Our government. Today we will see about what a democratic government is, what are the different functions that a democratic government performs and how the democracy is divided, who are the rule makers, how do they perform. Then we'll see the legal system of the country, that is how the hierarchy of the courts are divided, how the courts are categorized, civil court, high court, then the Supreme Court, how are they divided and what is their basic functions. Then we'll see about the lower house and the upper house, or about the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, how do they perform or what are their functions. What is the upper limit or what is the age for the being a candidate of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Then we'll see about how the democratic government is divided, how are the council of ministers chosen, how are MLAs, how are MPs formed, how is president elected. These are topics that we are going to cover. So this was the key highlight of the chapter. We'll begin with what a democratic government is. In the last chapter, Fundamental Rights and Duties, we saw the definition given by Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln gave a definition of democracy or the democratic government. He said a democratic government is a government which is of the people, by the people and for the people. A democratic government is one which is of the people, which is for the people and which is by the people. It is one who actually functions. It is all about the people only. It is all about the citizens of the country only, for which the different organizations, different departments, state level, central level governments are functioning. They frame the rule for easiness of each individual, so that the work they perform, the work performed by every individual, collectively when taken together results to collective growth for the economy, for the country. So, in order to frame a rule and regulation, there are certain rules that needs to be followed. So, we'll see about how the democratic government performs different rules or different performance that is delivered by the government. So, chapter number 6. It says, the democratic form of government is one which has collective sanction behind it. Collective sanction behind it means it is a group of people who are behind the government. Government does not only mean an individual. It is a group of individuals who are actually creating a pressure, who are actually being a force which helps the government to lay down the different rules. It is a government of the people, by the people and for the people. Now this was the definition given by Abraham Lincoln. This we have already discussed in the last chapter, Fundamental Rights and Duties. A democratic government is the government in which the citizens have the right to participate in the governing process and in making important decisions for the welfare of whole society. See, whenever the government takes a decision, it is not to influence a single individual. It is not to bring change into a life of an individual only. But the government thinks in a collective form. Means it is concerned about the society, it is concerned about the state, it is concerned about the whole country. See, government whenever takes a decision, that is meant for the welfare of everyone. Whosoever is a part of the country will be benefited. That is the main reason, main idea behind taking any initiative or any decision by the government of the country. A democratic government must fulfill its responsibilities towards its citizens. Now, a democratic government has certain responsibilities. We saw what are the fundamental rules and what are the fundamental duties that every citizen needs to perform. Today we are seeing what are the fundamental duties that a government needs to perform to its citizens. Why does it need to perform its duties to its citizens? The question is, why is government entitled or why is government asked to perform its duties to its citizens only? That answer is because a democratic government is of the people and by the people and for the people. It is all around people only. So if the people's welfare are not concerned, if the people's active participation is not concerned, then the democracy will not progress. A progressive democracy can only take place when the citizens are actively participating in the growth of the country. The next para says, India became independent on 15 August 1947 and its constitution was adopted on 26 January 1950. According to the Constitution of India, India is a union of states. It is a vast country with 29 states and 7 union territories. See, this is an old book perhaps, but there is a change now. It says that there are 29 states and 7 union territories. But the current is there are 28 states. 28 states are there and 9 union territories. 9 union territories is there. Sorry. 9 union territories. Earlier there were 7 union territories, but now 9 union territories are there. 20 is for union territories. Okay, earlier there were 29 states, but now at present 28 states are there and 9 union territories. Jammu Kashmir was a part of this. It has been removed. Now it has become a union territory. Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are the two union territories of the country which have been included into union territories now. That is why it has gone from 7 to 9 and it has been reduced to 28 from 29. So 28 states and 9 union territories total makes a country that is India, a democratic country that is India. What is India? Is the sum total of 28 states and 9 union territories. A single government cannot govern a big country like India. So, is it possible for any government or any individual to take care of such a big state, such a big country? When 28 states and 9 union territories taken together, it adds around to something around more than 125 crore of population. Is it possible for a single person or a single government to perform all the duties to take care of every individual? That is why the democratic form of government is subcategorized. That is, the subcategorization is on the basis of state and center. There are two categories. And we talk about the India. It is subcategorized as center and the other is state. The state government and the central government. We call it even as central government and the state government. Central government is one where the Prime Minister, that is who is the head of the Council of Ministers, means different ministers are there and their head is Prime Minister who takes the decision, who sits in the central level, that is in Delhi, and he takes the decision and passes on all the good elements to states, or state government. A single government cannot govern a big country like India. So the government has been framed or formed at two levels, one at the central and other at the state level. Now, powers being distributed between both the levels in order to avoid conflict. Now, there is a differentiation of power. Central has a different power and state has a different power. It is divided, it is categorized so that there is never conflict. Conflict means it is a bit of argument or bit of opposition is there when someone uses their power or someone is snatched of their power, and there is a conflict. So that is why for easiness of both central and state, the constitution has framed the different rules for both the government, that is central and the state government. During any crisis, the central government comes to the aid of state government. Wherever the state government requires the help, whenever the state government is in need, whenever the state government is in crisis, it goes to its head, that is central government. Central government is always there to help the state governments. Like for example, as a child, whenever you are in need of something, the first approach that you make is to your mother or father. Why? They are the center of your house. They are the center of your guardianship. They are the one who is actually guiding you. They are the one who is actually taking care of you. So whenever you need something, you approach to them. Same way, the guardian of state is central government. Whenever the state government is in crisis or whenever the state government requires something, it goes to central government. Last topic is central government. Last topic of the day. The central government. What is the central government? We have been talking about central government, state government, central government, state government. But what is the central government? The central government of the union government. We will call it as union government. Do you remember the name? It is central or union. The central government or the union government consists of the president, vice president and council of ministers headed by prime minister. Now, this central government includes, or the union government includes, president, vice president, VP is vice president, council of ministers, who is headed by or who is taken care by prime minister of the country, So the central government is basically subcategorized as president, vice president and council of ministers. And these council of ministers are taken care by the head minister, that is prime minister. Who is the prime minister? Prime minister is basically the head of or prime of different ministers, prime of council of ministers. All the ministers who work under the prime minister are said to be council of ministers. The central government or union government consists of the president, vice president and council of ministers headed by the prime minister. The body makes laws and is called parliament. It has two houses, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Now what is the use of this central government or the union government? Along with the different portfolios, along with different government heads, what it does, it actually forms a parliamentary government where the different council of ministers, president, vice president and the prime minister himself or herself sits in a house, and that house is going to be a parliament house. The parliament house is again categorized into two different parts, that is Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha is even known to be as lower house and the Rajya Sabha is known to be upper house. Lok Sabha is said to be lower house and Rajya Sabha is said to be upper house. In the next class, we will see about what a Lok Sabha is, what are the different functions, and who are the people who are nominated, what is the age criteria for being a member of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and what are the responsibilities that as a MP, member of parliament, you need to perform. Thank you class.